And let's put a manifold on there that will enable us to do just that. Here is this F.A.S.T manifold, the F.A.S.T manifold. Now let's take a little bit better look at it here. And I can tell you right now, I've already laid the gasket on there. What a whopper. They gave you plenty of material right here. As if you look, and I take and lay this on there, okay, I am, like I said, making a special bolt deal that'll fill it and locate it, but they've left me plenty of room. Now watch, look how much I can move over. See, it's going to be real close. They've already opened it up a considerable amount right out of the box, so I'm going to have to trim some, but I'm still going to have room for a little bit of O-ring support. So this right here was worth every bit of the trouble. Several of these heads I ported, my customers asked me the same thing. Well, it don't use a gasket. Why do you need a gasket for? You don't have to have a gasket. Dude, don't argue with me over $20 when I have to have something. Don't you want the maximum port width? Yes. So we got to have them. I'm now stocking the LS1s, the LS3s. Haven't done too many of them, so I'm going to go ahead and buy me one. I've got it now, but they just don't understand. The reason is because this ain't stock anymore. This isn't stock anymore on the manifold. When you go in here and you take this and you scribe different dimensions, open them up, then you've got to have some way to locate it, or else you'd make it too low or too high and you'd mess it up. Felpro, when they designed this, made this the biggest width that they could get that would stay inside and get real close to the edge of that manifold. So here comes our manifold company, F.A.S.T, and they make a thicker, better deal that moves that O-ring. They've moved it out just a little bit so it can still maintain the O-ring, but you could go either way with this. As long as you put your sealant on there, it's got the beads, you could use this. I'm going to call them up and talk to them and see what experiences they've had, because I know they've had to have it, but just by looking at it, I don't think I'm going to have to do that. Now, let's take the next area here while we got both of these side by side. Okay, I'm going to try to get them in there as close as I can. And let's just take a look at something. This is still set at 1/340, which is right there at the edge. I mean, man, that is so beautiful. All right, look here. See, look, that's got to be cut. All right, so this whole dimension here has to be modified. Now, because I've got that gasket, I'm going to know if I got to move this wall or that wall, because I've located it on here like this, and I'm going to be able to say, okay, you know what? This side right here is the one that's got to have the meat cut out of it. Without the gasket pinning it to the head and going back and forth, there's no way I'd know which way to do it. But look here, I can't do it. This one's going to have about 1 inch in. So right now, that's the runner tube that I'm starting to have the touch where it grabs. So let's take a look at something entirely different. This is the horn. Let's move this out of the way. This is the horn. Woo! I should have been on, what is that, Jurassic Park. Anyway, this right here is the runner horn. That's where it connects to the head. There's your O-ring, okay? Now, you see how big it is? This is where it's drawing. And it's going to get bigger, then it starts to neck down. They made this right here to bolt to a stock head so that people who don't port them, it's small enough to do it, but somebody like me that's going to go in there and I'm going to alter the shape and enlarge it, well, that's why they left this out for. Now, if we take this measurement like I'm showing you right here and we pull off of it, okay, now look at where I'm at with this. Alright, look, you see where I'm stopping? So, what does that tell us? To make this a true statement to this size of 1/340, or even, I'm going to cut it bigger, that means I've got to go back in there to where it starts to get bigger, which is going to be about 1.5 to 2 inches. Okay, so I'm going to port it right here is about where it's at. Now, once I get this to this size, whatever size that this ends up being, I don't have to port past here. I don't have to do it. Why? Because look how much bigger. It's all bigger. I'm going to come to the point where it starts to neck down, where this dimension, whatever I put in here, is where it's at, which, right now I'd say it's probably about right here, and cutting extra material out is going to move it to about right there. So I'm going to have to port each one of these, square it with this, and then it'll keep me from having this problem. Now let's look at the chalkboard. This is going to really put this in perspective to you of what I'm trying to do with the LS that I can't do with the regular small blocks. Alright, this is pretty much the story right here. Let me get you a better view. Alright, this is right here is the cylinder head manifold dividing line. Disregard that line right there. That is an intake runner from the manifold coming down. Here's the port on the head, there's your valve. Now, the problem has always been through the years is that with a Chevrolet, with the older style heads, it got real wide. You had to go almost 1 inch or 900 thousandths in, which happens to be where the push rod goes through. That's your pinch point there, not at the mouth where the gasket goes. So what yo-yos will do is they'll go in there and they'll make a big funnel and open it up so that when the customer looks at it, oh wow, it's big, it looks pretty, but it's an optical damn illusion, because the measurement you're looking for is this, what's called pinch point. Now, guess what they done with the LS3? They said, to hell with this, and put the pinch point where the where the hell it's supposed to be, at the edge. Now, I'm going to go in there, raise the height some, raise the width. We've already seen with the Feld Pro what I'm going to do with it. Now, here I've got this manifold. First off, the stock manifold, I'd have had a hard time. There's only so far I could go with it. But with this F.A.S.T manifold, it being the well-designed piece that it is, I can go all the way back to here. Let's say that this line right here, where the head, let's say 1.380. Okay? Now, let's say on the manifold, at the point where it connects to the head, 1.320. That ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna cut the mustard. What we want is a path where the only thing that's necking it down is the tightest point on the head. Make the manifold work for the head. Make it be the bitch or the slave. Now, so it's real simple. With this manifold being an individual runner where I can pull them out, get to them, match it to the runners. Let's say I go back all the way to here and I can achieve 1.380 at that dimension. I'm going to have a path that is a steady squeeze. It gets bigger than up at the top, then smaller, 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 smaller to your midpoint, and then it pinches. Then she has to start slowing down to make the turn to go into the cylinder bore. That is absolutely, that manifold in that head, to be something that's stock, that's running on it, is, y'all, it's absolutely just beautiful. I'm beside myself on how well that works out. You know, short of being, like I said, 12, 13 years ago, this was state-of-the-art racing performance stuff in drag racing and NASCAR, and look how it's trickled down over the years and gotten into stock stuff. Ain't it just great? It really is. So anyway, I just wanted to show you, and by the way, with the 1380, what you would end up doing, see how I got the manifold smaller? By this right here, I'm going to erase this with my fingers, where it was a square inside of a square. Now look what we got. We got it being right in, heads up. Look at there. A perfect flow path with no interruption except the mating surfaces where it connects to the head. Then, because I'm bringing that much more air in and without a hard squeeze, that means that I've got to change this geometry all in here to make it go right in the valve. But I just wanted to go over that to show you how the intake manifold, the F.A.S.T manifold, will work in coordination with this. Alright, I'm going to study more individually on the manifold, but now let's zoom back over and go to the cylinder heads. Alright, let's go ahead and do our tried, trusty, and true dike 'em. I got a little messy there, sorry about that. Alright, I'm going to let that dry and we're going to come back, we're going to scribe it out.